How are you?
Feeling much better than last week. Still getting there
Good,
though.
good. Well, we are running a minute behind, so we will get right
Are.
to it. Well, guys, it's Tuesday. We have a lot of stuff. We actually had to trim some stuff off of our list to discuss today. There's just a lot going on in the travel world right now.
It's
Well,
nice
guys,
because the
I am
last 2 weeks have been for news.
yes, absolutely. So, guys, I'm Jason Poole. I'm a travel advisor with Cruise Planners. And this is kind of our behind the curtain chat of all we talk about, texting and talking all week about travel stuff. Haley, if for some reason someone doesn't know you, who are you? What do you do? Introduce yourself.
Hey guys, my name is Haley. I own the hotel sales support company Hospitality with a Flair. I've been in hotels for almost 16 years now, and I travel blog all over wherever. And yes, sometimes when we're looking for news articles for the week, we just go back and search our text between each other, like, oh yeah, we talked about this week and this, and we're just
I
sharing
love
that
it.
with you.
I mean, we guys, we have really gone back, yeah, and looked at our past like text. I'm like, oh yeah, I sent you that article. I sent you that article. So yeah, this is just what we talk about offline. So guys, we have a lot to discuss. The first one, the news that broke the internet is Delta overhauling its Sky Club policy for entrance. So, long story short, if you have a Delta American Express card that got you into the club and you paid a fee, so most people have like the Platinum Delta Amex, like $39 to get in. That has now been
It used to
raised
be the
to.
gold, but they cut that off a couple of years ago.
So now it's just Platinum, and that's kind of a common one people have. And it went from $39 to $50 to get in. I'm not sure what the reserve is. I should have looked that up.
The reserve
Um,
it's free for the reserve, and you
that's what I
get
thought. But
a couple companion certificates a
right,
year for it.
right,
But if you have the reserve
um,
card and you get your spouse like a card on your reserve card, like an additional card, they
right,
will get in. They'll get in for free.
right. And so changes also to the American Express Platinum card, not the co-branded, just the regular Amex Platinum card and the business Platinum card. No changes there, so they can still get in. So the $39 fee went to $50 if you pay 39 before. The other big change is if you are gold or higher and flying internationally, even in economy, you could go to the Sky Club. Okay. So that is now gone. Okay. So that perk from the medallion is just gone. Interestingly, it's still there for the Sky Team partners. So you could be flying economy on Virgin and like economy with
Yeah.
Virgin and still get into the lounge. So people are saying, we should do is book all of our flights through like Air France, get Sky Team Elite, and then get to the Delta Club. Like you could kind of back into it. I wouldn't recommend that. So that's a change. And then once you hit Diamond with Delta, you have a choice of like some gifts, amenity, like perks, basically. And it's now requires more of your perk point total to pick Sky Club as Sky Club membership, and the membership fee just went up quite a bit, and only medallion members can purchase a membership now. So you have to be at least a silver medallion status to purchase the Sky Club membership. Okay, that was a lot. Haley, what do you think?
I mean, I think it makes sense, and this is not an attempt to kind of sound snobby on the situation, but clubs used to be an elite
Right.
thing.
Hmm.
And now with, the expansion in credit card offers and all these things, and now more people traveling more than ever, you see these lounges are just full to the brim. And I think that comes into like, cost of labor in the clubs, food cost, right down the line. You know, this should be reserved for your high spend credit cards, your Delta reserves, your Amex Platinums, your higher tier, because they're spending the money with you. They are spending the money because they don't want to sit at the gate with hundreds
Right.
of people.
Yeah. So the only thing I don't like the gold and above international taking away. Like that was kind of a nice. I'd be fine if they made it even like platinum or above, or even like you know what I mean. Like there are business travelers that sometimes their business doesn't pay for Delta One,
Yes.
and you know, so I kind of wish those
Yeah, I think that's
people.
maybe the one that's kind of like a.
I don't love that. Like I'd be fine if it was platinum and above. And again, this does, I mean, guys, this doesn't affect me at all. Both Haley and I have the platinum Amex. No change for Haley and I getting in. But this has just been like breaking the Delta forums, the Facebook groups, Twitter. But look, guys, there are people who pay big bucks for the Sky Club membership. There's people who one of the main reasons I keep my Delta, I mean my American Express Platinum card is the Sky Club, and we pay a lot of money for that. And when I see a huge line to get into the club, it's just like, oh my god, like why is this? So
Yeah.
Delta is trying its best to remedy this situation. So I'm okay with it, but I admit that I'm biased because it's only a net positive for me.
This can always change too. They might find that, you know, maybe now there's not a whole lot of people in the club, like it really trimmed down too far, or maybe they reinstate that gold and above
right
situation. But I mean, right now they're a mess.
I mean, it doesn't get tricky. It's like, oh, gold above. Well, actually, no. Weird is with partners, it's platinum and above because that's Guy Team Elite Plus. So it's just it's very confusing. But if it means that much to you guys, the membership is $6.95. The American Express Platinum is $6.95.
And the reserve is, I think, $4.95. I think.
I thought it was five. Yeah, I don't have
$5.50.
Yeah,
one of those two.
So keeping on the Sky Club news, Delta is invested in making the Sky Club experience better, and I applaud them. Right, so you know, trying to trim down the number of people. They've been they rolled out. We talked about this earlier. They rolled out a priority line in some airports. So for like Delta One, Diamond Medallion, 360 members had like a priority line. Totally fine with that. They also announced they are building 5 new Sky Clubs and revamping some other ones. So Kansas City, MCI is getting one. MSP is getting another one, which is crazy. Everywhere you look at MSP, there's a Sky Club.
There is.
But they're building another terminal at MSP. So they're building another Sky Club at Minneapolis. So that's
I think it's going to be a nice one because like MSP Sky Clubs are a little smaller on the small side.
Yes. They're building a new one at Boston, which is
well, they're trying to compete with JetBlue out there, and they're trying to make that internationally appealing. I mean, even now here in Rochester, they've added that Boston commuter leg.
Mm-hmm.
We're starting to see that. It's not every day right now, but it's showing up, I think, 3 or 4 days a week here.
I did Rome to Boston coming home. You know, it was quite a bit cheaper. And I was like, if I have to connect, I might as well. I mean, you know, it was fine. They're building a new Sky Club at Newark, which is interesting. I'm surprised that they're maybe trying to make a play out of Newark, but we'll see.
Well, I almost wonder on that if because EWR is not going to be considered New York City anymore, if maybe there is some fee reduction and stuff like that because it's not going to get that New York City premium. I don't know, just a guess.
Yes, and then not to bury the lead, guys, if you're a Delta fan and you've been to JFK, you know you hate it when you have to land or your gate is in Terminal 2. It's awful. It's awful. It's old. It's dated. I mean, it feels like they're filming.
And it's so loud because it's like one big box with all these gates around it.
It's not great. The good news is Delta is moving out of Terminal 2. They're consolidating everything in Terminal 4, which is, guys, I have walked Terminal 4, and this happened to Haley too. My Apple Watch has gone off and said, "Are you doing a workout?" Because it's such a long
like
walk.
it actually, like when you go through TSA at JFK, it'll actually tell you like gates B54 are a 20-minute walk.
It is a haul. But the good news is they are adding another Sky Club in Terminal 4 down by like the A wings. And typically I'm surprised they're doing it down there because the A's are like all like the Virgin, was Emirates down there? It was like,
it's your internationals, because
right.
especially because you have Centurion right there. What's the one that's next to Centurion? Is it Etihad or there's a bunch of them.
There's a few of those internationals there. So that's nice. And Delta's also announced they're expanding 3 new Sky Clubs. And these 2 of them are going to be really great for those of us who do a lot of Caribbean cruises out of Florida. They're expanding the one at FLL, which I've never been to that one. They are expanding the one in Miami.
Great.
Thank God. The Miami one is awful. And they are building or renovating one in Atlanta. So I'm glad they continue to invest in Atlanta. Amex is building a Centurion lounge in Atlanta. They say it's going to be the biggest.
To see that.
It's going to be the biggest one ever, they said. And I still think it's probably going to be too small. Like,
I mean, yeah, they do the most flights in ATL.
They do the most flights. I mean, it's the busiest airport in the world. I mean, which is crazy. Like little, Atlanta's not little, but it's like Atlanta is the busiest airport. It's insane. So, all right. Well, that's it for the Delta news, guys.
Everybody else is probably like, oh, thank God.
Thank God. So, Princess Cruises is announcing in 2023 their daily gratuity is going up to $16 per person per day. And their Wi-Fi charge is going up just a little bit as well. I only bring this up to push back a little bit on some of the.
I am so sick of seeing people complain about the gratuities going up a couple bucks per person.
Right. All the headlines were like major price hike.
Not make money. And I feel like, part of that is like a living wage. Like we're trying to scale a living wage. And I think some of that's also due to like, I can't believe the amount of people I've run into that do not tip above and beyond, like carry some cash in their pocket. I mean, you look at your room attendant. Your room attendant makes and cleans your room twice a day.
Yes, I agree.
And it's not just about like it's cleaning your room twice a day.
Right. I mean, as I say, someone scrubbing your toilet twice a day. Right, scrubbing your toilet twice a day. So I think what's interesting.
And we all know cruise ship food's not friendly. Let's be honest. Like these people are doing, and I mean, like people getting sick on the ship. Like these people do the Lord's work.
So what's interesting is I do think you and I, being Americans, have a very American-centric view of this, right?
Yes.
And I sometimes feel sorry for some of the cruise ship employees when they are in, like, especially like the European markets. Because I mean, I've met some wonderful people on my European cruises, and they've overheard me talking to people on, on the board, like, hey, how much are you leaving your butler? How much are you leaving your room attendant? I'm thinking, $500 for the butler, $300 for the whatever. And then the Europeans are just like, what? You are insane. And it's like, you're used to going to places in Europe where they're making a living wage. They have like, the national healthcare system, right? I mean, servers.
Yeah, like anything above 10% is kind of odd.
Right. And look, when I'm in Europe, it's just a couple euros as well, right? I try to do by their customs, right?
Yeah.
But these
It's
cruise ship
awkward
people,
feeling, but yes.
it is awkward, right? Because these cruise ship employees are not working for a lot of money. So I am totally okay with raising gratuities. I mean, completely okay. I'll be honest, I think it should be rolled into the cruise fare and you can't opt out of it. Like, I,
Yes.
I I just think, I mean, kind of what Celebrity does, are all included, or if you're in the retreat, right? It's just like basically included in the cruise fare, and you can't opt out of it. Um, if you have terrible service, go talk to guest services. But I mean, it is rare. That's very rare.
Yeah. I mean, I think of all the cruises I've taken, I think I can easily count on one hand maybe how many like people weren't the happiest, but not anybody that was like flat out rude.
I removed gratuities one time in all my cruises, one time, and I went and gave cash to everybody else. Like, it's a long story. We don't have to get into it. I only did it one
Well,
time.
to be fair though, we did that on our Ovation sailing because we did all specialty dining and we just tipped everybody out in cash.
Right,
Like above and beyond what that would have been.
right, right.
But it was just like, well, I'm not going to pay gratuities if I'm not doing this. I'm just going to, tip my stateroom attendant, $100, and then my specialty dining and.
Would you remember the tips do cover like buffet staff, Sorrento
But we always
staff?
tip in the buffet too.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. All right. Well, we have a little bit of sad news, which is unfortunate, but the Viking Polaris was doing a cruise in Antarctica, and they were very close to the Drake's Passage. So that's that water that's between like South America and the tip of Antarctica. Like, it is just like really treacherous. Like, it's really rough. Like, I think either you or someone else sent me like a TikTok of someone on their balcony and like water like splashing up on the
Gotcha.
balcony.
It's
So it's
wild.
awful. So a rogue wave hit the Viking Polaris last week, and unfortunately, one person died and four others were injured. Um, it's been all over the news, and it is absolutely tragic. And people keep asking me, "You still want to go to Antarctica?" It's like, I do.
Yeah.
I
There
do.
is something that is mind blowing with the fact of like obviously gravity and stuff comes up, but you're standing on the bottom of the planet.
Right.
I think that's what it is for me. It's like I'm, like in essence, feel like you're standing upside down.
Right. Right. I mean,
I
I
mean,
would take
it
all this.
doesn't deter me. I mean, stuff like this can happen. I mean, think about ships that think about. Remember Anthem? Like one of its first couple years got like effed up during that one
I
hurricane.
remember.
Like
I remember.
things can happen anywhere you're on vacation. Things can unfortunately happen when you're home. You could walk out front of your house and get hit by a car. Unfortunately,
Right. Right.
um,
So,
I don't think it's any reason to deter from going. I mean, I'll tell you now that I will probably be a bit more cautious when it's drink passage time for myself whenever I do this.
yeah, I mean, it's a freak accident. It happens. So, all right, rounding out the news, I am not sure this is ever really going to come, but the government has extended the Real ID
I
deadline
feel like
again.
I feel like I've been seeing this for like 10 years.
You're right, to May 2025. You know what's crazy is my driver's license is not a real ID, and I am like, I'm at this point, I'm just going to wait for it to expire and either 25 or 26, and I'll just do it then. Now, keep in mind, guys, if you don't know what this is, for Americans, they are making you have what's called a real ID. So, if you use a driver's license, it has like a star on it, and that means you provided a little bit more documentation to get your ID. And planes or airports are going to require it to get through TSA. But if you have a passport is a real ID. So if you fly with the passport, it's not an urgent matter to get a real ID. And for some reason, I always fly with the pass. Even if I'm doing domestic, I don't know why. I always show my
So when I'm
passport.
domestic, I just pack my skilled entry card.
Oh yeah, you can use that. My
Mhm.
photo was so bad in that. Like I was moving when the camera. It's awful. It's awful. So push back. Let's see if it actually happened in 2025, but it has been pushed back. So that is the news. There was a lot more we could have discussed, but
Yes.
that was the top things. So
So Jason, what is a mistake you've made while traveling this year?
you know, you asked me this earlier, and we were doing prep, and I think I've narrowed it down to two mistakes. One's a true mistake, and one's a not a real mistake. I might do it differently. So the one that's not like a real mistake, but I might do it differently, is booking the night before in Europe when you're getting to Europe. So here's what we mean. When you get to Europe, you typically land in the morning. Almost always land in the morning. Sometimes you can land very early in the morning. Okay. Like I've landed in Athens at like 7 a.m. Okay. We had to circle the airport in London because Heathrow had a 6 a.m.
I think you
Either
said it was
6
six.
6 a.m. curfew. So we couldn't land before like, 6 a.m., right? So, you get to Europe often very early in the morning, right? So you get off the plane, you get your luggage, you go through passport control, you're getting your car service, you get to the hotel. It is 9 o'clock in the morning, and you are exhausted,
And
but
want
your
to
room
shower really badly.
and your room is not ready until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, right? And it's not fair because like there's someone in that room and they're allowed to check out hours from when you're standing there, right? So Haley taught me this trick and I've yet to do it, but I need to do it going forward, is just book the night before. I kind of did that in London. Remember, you did have me email them,
Yes, doing like a half day rate or something of that nature. I
and
mean,
that
'cause
worked.
if I had $1 for every time I've heard or myself been screamed at for not being able to check somebody in early.
Right. So, like when I was in Barcelona, I mean, I waited for hours and hours and hours. You're just tired. You have your luggage. So that's something I could have done differently. Now, do you want to go with your mistake, or you want to go with
Now
my
mine has
mistake?
to go last.
You have to go out. Okay. So my true mistake, and I do this all the time, I wait too long to purchase flights.
He drives me crazy.
I
Because we
don't
will
know.
talk to the point where we've narrowed it down like, all right, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. Like it is like finalized, like to the point where you just need to hit pay now. Like all your credit cards input, like he's to that point and then he doesn't book it.
I'm bad. Like I was looking at flights for May, doing a trip in Europe in May, and I found some great prices, and I'm like, that's a good price. And then I closed the app. I don't know why I do this. I don't
It's his
know
toxic
why.
trait.
It really is. So yeah, so I need to be better about booking flights early. Look, there have been situations, guys, where I've found a flight. I thought the price for business, Delta One was a really good price. I didn't book it like an idiot. I go back weeks later, and I mean, it's gone. And so my butt has been in premium select for basically the price I could have paid
For Delta.
for Delta One. So that is and I'm actually at my resolution to do better about flights.
I'm gonna include it's not a mistake, but maybe something I should plan a little differently before I go into my mistake. Um, and it's both on my trip that I just took to Germany. I crammed a lot into a week. I mean, I'm so glad I did it because I can talk about it. But really, I needed one more day to put in the middle to breathe. And I didn't do that. And it's so easy to do when you have not been to a place this is your first time
I,
going somewhere you want to cram all the things in. And I think we all have that PTSD from COVID, like, oh, what if something happens and I can't get back here? There's a little bit of that. So there's times I need to get better about cramming my trips a little bit. But the mistake,
well, so
yeah,
on that point, I agree with you. So when I look at these summer cruise itineraries in the Med, they can be 10 days, 11 days, 12 days, and have one sea day. I'm like, when I was new to going to Europe, I loved it, right? It was like, oh my gosh, look at
all
everything
these
we're going,
ports, yeah.
all these ports, right? But now it's like, okay, which port have I been to a bunch for me to stay on board and just relax? So I
Well,
agree 100%.
well, I mean, like, Jeff and I were even looking at this Asmara sailing in the Med in April over Olivia's break because she's at her dad's, and there's one sea day, and they were all new places, and I'm like, I want to do this, but I'm going to be miserable.
That's awesome. So Azamara is barely a cruise line. They are a floating hotel. Like, I've literally been at cruise. We're getting off the rails here. I've been at Cruise Center Convention, and they have like a cruise panel and a land panel. Azamara has been on the land panel, and it's like, why is there a cruise company here in the land panel? And it's like, we really think of ourselves as a like land company, which is crazy, and they kind of are in some ways.
It is, but like, I looked at that, I'm just like, I want to do it, but I am gonna be so tired and I'm not gonna appreciate it. But my mistake is so I missed my train going back to Frankfurt from Strasbourg. Thankfully, it's Europe, and there's always more options.
Yep.
Of some form or fashion. And it was because I read the train times wrong because they had the end time highlighted in this app that I was using. I'm still like finding out which app is kind of best for Americans to use for this post because I hated the one. I use Rail Europe. Don't ever use that app. I'm going to try out Omnio and a few others, but no Rail Europe. And I missed my train time because I was also thinking wrong because it's in 24-hour time. Military time for those of you that know it by that. And that's kind of how I screwed it up. So that leads into our travel tip of the day is consider changing the time on your cell phone when you are abroad to the 24-hour clock. Most places except for here operate on the 24-hour clock. And it'll just make things a little easier because, there's some of those numbers where you're thinking like, oh, 20 is like, you're thinking it's closer to midnight, but it's really just 8 p.m.
Right. 20 sounds like it's almost midnight, but it's right.
Yeah. So that is the tip. It's a quick change in your phone settings. It'll help you immensely.
I like it. I do. And look, I know lots of people that leave their phone in the 24-hour mode all the time. So
my dad.
Yeah, I've seen people who do it. So guys, thank you so much for joining us. Next week, internet providing, I will come to you live from the Celebrity Beyond, doing just a 7-night Caribbean cruise. I don't even know where I'm going to be on Tuesday. I'll look at the itinerary. And
then we'll have the 20th, and we'll be off for the 27th because that's Christmas week. And Olivia's home; she's got winter basketball camp that week and whatnot. So
I try to shut down a little. I try to shut down a little bit during that time, but
you and me both. I'm trying to do all this prep work now so I can kind of like lay low that week.
Yeah, that will be nice. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Hope you've learned something new. And guys, if you ever have Yes, and if you ever have like a great travel tip or something happened to you that you learned from, put it in the group and we'll if it's great, we'll talk about it on the show. I learn stuff from people all the time. So I am not opposed to learning travel hacks. I always say traveling is a skill. You get better at it. It is. Like, I mean,
100%.
I hope I'm
My mom realizes that too, like just with how much I've traveled, like things feel like second nature to me. So sometimes I'm like with it, but because she had like a layover in Atlanta, she's like, "Oh, it's only 45 minutes. Atlanta's crazy." I'm like, "Mom, it's really an hour 15."
right. 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 Right.
They
Well,
wouldn't put you
guys,
on it to do it.
I hope you're enjoying your holiday season. And I guess Haley and I are getting back to work. Until next week.
All right, bye guys.